Good morning, good afternoon and good evening from wherever you may be in the world, and welcome to Silverstone, where we get ready for Community Cup number 18. And this is not just the Community Cup, this is the last Community Cup of the spring season. So that means that champions will be crowned today, and what better track to do that at than Silverstone. My name is Dan Papels. Next to me in the commentary booth is Ed Johannes. Ed, welcome in. How are you today?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Appreciate the invite once again. Getting to sit beside you. Honestly, one of the best commentators in the game. So super excited to be getting into the racing action here today.
Well, it's not just the track and it's not just the car. We're with the British touring cars at, well, one of the most iconic tracks, if not the most iconic track in the whole of Britain. And that is, of course, the Silverstone circuits in what are legendary cars. The British Touring Car Series back in the day was a legendary series. It still exists, I think, to this day, but I think it's gone long past its glory days already. Back in the 2000s was the real glory days, I think, in my opinion at least, of the British Touring Car Championship. And that's the years that we're driving these cars from today, so I'm looking forward to see the drivers out on track. Before we do that though, let's have a look at who has qualified for today's event. We did get word earlier that we had to go down to like 18th or 17th place to get a full grid, so a lot of drivers that qualified, however, sadly weren't able to drive today. But the quickest time was set by Jay Craig, and he'll be important a little later on. Then, of course, I see his mouse hovering over it. It's Donny, our staff member, who's once again qualified up there in the top 3. Donny never allowed to race, so also not today. Then Anthony Wen in 3rd, Anthony Boltanes in P4. Then 5th is AJ Masek, 6th is Joy Domp, Stephen Wong in P7, Jack Dennison in 8th, Dax Brown in 9th, Ishfaq Azam in 10th, he's not racing today. Ryan Granado not racing today, he's in 11th. Emerson Alvarado, he's in 12th, Matt Haynes in 13th, and Andrew Berrien in P14. That's how the how the qualifying times look. Let's have a look at the standings then, because those are so extremely important as of today. We can't take a look into this too much because this takes qualifying into account of today. However, believe me, Luis Rodriguez is leading the way, and Jay Craig needs to get 1st or 2nd in order for him to win the championship. So keep an eye out for Jay Craig. He needs to finish 1st or 2nd again, take the championship. Luis Rodriguez then, who was leading, is now in 2nd. Jesus, couldn't get my words out there for a second. Ryan Collins in 3rd, ahead of Anthony Wen in 4th. Chase Black 5th, Joey Dom 6th, Ishfaq Azam 7th, AJ Masek 8th, Jack Dennison 9th, and Anthony Poltanis 10th as it stands. Anthony, first time taking part here today, Ed, and well, he's up in P10 already in the championship, but it looks like P2 in the standings as it stands so far in qualifying.
Yeah, no, super excited to see a couple new faces that we didn't get to see last week, or 2 weeks ago, actually. Obviously, a couple familiar faces, though. Anthony Wen up there. Saw him last week take P2, wasn't it? So definitely know he is a fast driver. Going to be looking out for him. Like we said, Jake Craig, though, looking to get inside that 1 and 2 spot to take this championship away. And so that's going to be some good racing. I'm really excited to see how things are going to shake down here today. And like I said, just some other guys that were a little buried back in qualifying, getting the opportunity to show face in the, I guess you'd call it, main event here, and see what those guys can do.
Yeah, it's Boltanes in 3rd at the moment. 58.402 it is for him. Anthony Wen, though, we've seen him at that spot so many times, so often. It seems like he can't get away from there. It's first place for Anthony Wen on a 58.136. We have, however, seen times much quicker than that by about 4/10. Those are qualifying times, so a little more opportunities than you have here in the qualifying session. And don't forget, the qualifying session, everything needs to be perfect. Anthony Wen did just improve to a 58 flat. It's Jay Craig on a 58.265. My question is, since we're using the historic cars, are we also using the historic layout? Because then the timing line would be, and indeed we are, the timing line is going to be just before Cops. And Jay Craig who's going to come round to finish his lap in a corner or two here. We're using the shorter version of the track though today. It should provide us with a couple more laps than what we're used to. I think that's going to do the racing all the better.
Yeah, I typically like shorter tracks. It typically keeps the pack a little more bunched up together, and at least in a commentating sense, it, in viewing perspective, keeps the racing action a lot more compact and more exciting.
Yeah, so for sure keep an eye out here tonight. It's going to be a belter of a race. And with the championship on the line for Jay Greg, I think that changes his approach just a little. Maybe he'll be a little bit more cautious than he maybe would have been otherwise in the race.
You know, I was just thinking about that. If I'm Jake here, I'm trying to put a good quality time in, trying to get myself at least up on the pole position or a good spot on the start there. And if you drive too conserved, then you could end up giving away that 1 or 2 spot, fall to third, and you're not going to take home the championship. So you almost have to have that sense of urgency, especially, I would say, early on in the race, to keep yourself at the front of this pack.
Yeah, something that, of course, has to watch out for, like you mentioned, is that he doesn't drop back too far. If you drop back to about P5, P6, you get yourself into the midst of all that melee, all that chaos going on in the mid-pack, and you really, if you're going for a championship, you want to try and avoid that. You want to leave as much as you can in your own hands. And in the mid-pack, it isn't quite as much as it would be at the front. So even though Jay Greg is second in the qualifying as it stands, he'll still look to stay there for the race and not drop back any further than ideally third. And even then, he needs to fight for his place because he needs, like I said, Ed, he needs second or higher. And that's easier said than done with how close this field is.
I was going to say, just looking at qualifying times here, it is kind of amazing how close. I mean, just our top 7 drivers all within 1 second of each other. And as that obviously compounds over laps, that does break apart quite a bit. But I mean, our top 4 drivers, and obviously first 1 and 2 is what he needs. 3 is only 0.2 off, so, or less than 0.2 off. So that is a very small margin that he is going to have to keep over the number 3 spot, and kind of keeping an eye on Anthony Politanis. He is flying here in our qualifying.
Yeah, of course, it's the first time he's competing and already in P3. With this being the end of the spring season, you automatically start looking forwards to the summer season, even though we've just entered spring here in Europe and in America too, I think. Just entered spring. Summer is just around the corner at the One Line Racing Center. It's not that far anymore until the summer, and boy, let me tell you, I'm looking forward to that. To have some warmer temperatures here, about 2-3 degrees. Not that great, I can tell you that much.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, today finally able to get some good weather here, and it was definitely spent most my entire weekend outside. So been enjoying the more summer climate.
Yeah, as you do. I think everyone kind of cherishes that little bit of first sunshine, a little bit of first summer feeling when the weather finally turns good again. No ABS though, as you see in these old British touring cars, and Jay Greg definitely feeling the effects of it. It looks like, however, no one is really able to improve anymore. It feels like they've reached the peak. They can't really go past that peak anymore, but Jay Greg looking to try and get past it as soon as he can, if it's in there. And I don't think it's a question of if it's in there, because they're all driving the same car. It's just a question of can he get it out, and with a line like that, Ed, you're going to struggle.
I'd say finding yourself out in the dirt is not going to be the way to improve on the lap. I was curious to see if we were going to see a 57 at all in this qualifying session. Only about a minute left here to go, so going to be coming into our final few laps of qualifying.
Well, it's track layout being less than a minute long in terms of lap times for these cars. Cars that will be crossing the line now will go on to their final lap. The likes of Anthony Politanis, they will get another go, and it looks like Anthony will need it. Looking up into the way of the left-hander. The long right-hander. This is corner goes on forever. It just doesn't end. You're finally out of it. You have to watch out for track limits on the outside too. Anthony Boltanes, what can he do? He's less than 1.5 tenths away from Jay Craig. Could have huge implications for the championship if he manages to knock him down. He can't. Anthony Wentz gone back to the pit lane. That means qualifying over for him. I don't know if we can go to Jay Craig and see where he's at. See if he can go for one more lap. See if he can, well, try and pull something out of the hat to find some time. But Jay Craig, if he crosses the line now, it will have been his last lap. Anthony Wentz has done so. Of course, with him being in pit lane, this was his last lap. And a 58.0 is what he gets further. Ryan Collins in 6th, the 58.828 for him. Puts him in 6th at best. We're still with Anthony Boltanes. What can he do? Looked a little bit cleaner, but then the right-hander just a little too deep, running into the left-hander, compromises his line through the right-hander, and then it's a short run to the straight. It's flat out though through the right-hander here, and wood corner in these cars not really a challenge. Does manage to improve slightly, I think, but that's it. Jay Craig across the line. That can he do something, Ed? Can he try and pull something out of the hat? Get a magical lap time on the board? He can't. That's it. Qualifying over for both of our, or for all three of our top 3 drivers. Only driver being able to do something about that pull lap time from Anthony Wentz, I think, was Dax Brown. But everyone's crossed the line. And this is how we stand in the championship at the moment, with Jay Craig in 2nd. He would take the championship by 3 points. And this also tells us that if Jake would finish 3rd, we would go to countback. And of course, on countback, Luis would take it. Has just had a little bit more of a consistent season at the top for Luis Rodriguez. I think the only thing that held him back this season, well, was the fact that he wasn't able to compete in all the rounds.
Yeah, hey, I mean, like they always say in racing, is you got to be in it to win it, and that's kind of what it came down to. Like you said, staying consistent, staying at the front of the pack, but if you're not able to make all the rounds, that is going to throw away a championship every day.
Well, we're in between this bit between qualifying and the race start, and as I always say, go and fill up your drinks, get yourself some more popcorn, because you're gonna need it. Like I said earlier, it's going to be a belter of a race, this one, with the championship on the line between Jay Craig and Anthony Wentz. It's just fireworks waiting to be lit. And with Boltanes in his first race qualifying 3rd, which, well, we'll have to mention that is a great result for him. Like I said, it's fireworks waiting to be lit, and as soon as they are, or as soon as the lights go out, I think that will be the case. Alright then, the calm before the storm is finally over. We can finally decide who will be the champion of the One Line Racing Center Community Cup Spring Season. In pole position for that is Jay Craig. In pole position for this race is Anthony Wentz, who's ahead of our championship protagonist, Jake Craig. Then it's Boltanes in his first race qualifying 3rd. Dax Brown in 4th. Then it's AJ Masick in 5th. Ryan Collins 6th. Jack Dennis in 7th. Then it's Wong in 8th. Barry in 9th. And Matt Haynes rounds off the grids. Expectations then, Ed. Oh, we can't go to the expectations because the 6 red lights are already on to try and get this race underway. Will we get it going at the first time? Yes, we will. Anthony Wentz from the pole ahead of Jay Craig. Crucial for that second BMW in line to get a good start. Try and settle into this race early and make sure you don't lose any unnecessary positions. To Boltanes, who's already on the back of Jay Craig. Will he have to defend going into the left-hander here. They're side by side. Boltanis is for sure going to try it. Has the inside. Jay Greg though sees that coming, and the switchback is there. That is the experience that shows there for Jay Greg Boltanis in his first race. Wants to show what he's got. We know what he's got. He just needs to stay patient at this point.
Boltanis getting a little loose there, actually lose a position to Brown. So he's actually going to be falling back just a little bit there. Some battling going on still in that 4th and 5th position. Massock now getting into the battle.
Massock who causes slow down Boltanis from the moment that he has. I think he's trying to show everyone what he's got. He's trying to show everyone what he's made of, but I think he already did that in qualifying. The only thing he just needs to make sure now is that he doesn't make an absolute mess of himself. The only way he can do that is by taking people out, especially one who's going for the championship, or trying moves that are just not on. So if Boltanis just comes down a little here, settling to the rhythm, he's got the pace, he's proven he's got the pace, he will get these guys on pace, just needs to wait for these opportunities to arise. AJ Masek is a second back on Dax Brown. Then it's Jay Greg who's kept his second place. Really, Ed, all he needed to do.
Yeah, most definitely, and I expect to see that out of him here. Not going to push too hard for the number 1 spot. Probably settle in here to the number 2 and try and just hold off Brown as we are going to probably see an attack for Dax here and see if he can put himself into that number 2 position.
Here we go then, Jack Dennis, we're on board with him trying to overtake Ryan Collins through excuse me, that's Jack Dennison up into 7th now, into Cobb's corner. We're still side by side. Jack Dennis is going to have to give way here, I think, if Ryan Collins goes back ahead. No, it's Jack Dennison who's gotten the position ahead of Ryan Collins, but was that without contact because Ryan Collins has now dropped back to 9. Matt Hayes has gotten past him too. It's set one at the back of the field in 10th now, half a second back on Ryan Collins. At the front though, look at that, Jay Craig, you said don't try and push too hard for first place here. However, I don't think Jay Craig got that message.
I was going to say, he is on rails right now. Has opened the gap from 3rd and has reeled in a race leader here he is all over that rear bumper now.
Is the gap between the two of you, Jay Craig, even though you might be quicker, we're going to try and go for an audacious move here, maybe into Cobb's corner where he really doesn't expect it. Are you going to try something coming off the back straight, or are you going to just wait and sit behind patiently, try and open up a gap together with Anthony Wen? What would you do if you were Jay Craig in this position?
And personally, I'm going to latch on to Wen here, obviously fastest qualifier of the day. And obviously he has the pace and has shown it. So I'm going to try and just latch right onto that rear bumper, try and open that gap from 3rd. But obviously if he is getting in his way, if he's slowing him down, there has to be a pass. You can't let the number 3 spot of Dax catch up to you and possibly lose that number 2 position and the championship.
Something he has to watch out for the moment. 3/10 gained by Dax Brown in 3rd. Jay Masek, who's still in 4th, he's kept about the same gap after he was passed, or he passed Boltanis, and the gap is still about the 2nd. Boltanis, however, after that qualifying, the race is not going his way so far. It's a great shot of all these cars going through Cobb's corner as one of the cars gets out of shape. That's Andrew Berrien right ahead of Anthony Boltanis. Was the contact between the two there that Andrew Berrien went off to the left-hand side so extremely. We're extremely close together on track. Gap now though, half a second. Gap to AJ Masek, 5 seconds already. That for Boltanis if he does get past Berrien at some point. A massive gap to close.
As I say, these front 4 guys are just starting to peck out here. As we see Masek running very strong, still keeping the top 3 all in the mix. But the front 3 guys, those guys have not separated. Times are staying right about the exact same each and every lap. A couple of guys have some fast spots, a couple slow spots, but we've been just hovering around there. So I'm interested to see as we get a little later into this race, does anybody start to pick up the pace?
Well, Boltanis seems to have gotten past Andrew Berrien. He has done so he can try and chase down AJ Masek now. Gap has, however, opened up to 6.5 seconds, and Boltanis. This is exactly the same as he did on lap 1. Going into the right-hander, and he's spun once again. The right-hander of Maggots is proving a little too difficult for Boltanis here today. And that's the second time he's done that. This time though, I think he collected Jack Dennison in P6 in the Jägermeister livery BMW. Matt Haynes also managed to get past. One with the back of the field, he's now gotten past Ryan Collins too. Boltanis, 4 tenths back in 8th now of Matt Haynes. This is going from bad to worse for Boltanis.
And I think that's where we see just some of the rookie mentality. Came out flying and qualifying and just being a little new to the series, pushing it a little hard on these opening laps. And as we can see, it's definitely coming back to haunt him here as he started up there in 3rd and now finds himself back in 7th now.
Yeah, I think he's just a little, he's trying a little too hard, as we would say. It's now has gone wide into the right-hander, and Ryan Collins gets back past him. Battle that I'm interested in seeing is the battle between Dax Brown and AJ Masek. That gap has finally closed up. Was a second, now only 4 tenths.
All right there together, about a second and a half or so, 2 seconds separating 4th to 1st. And as we can see, this is a ongoing battle that I think we are going to see throughout the entire race. I don't think any of these drivers are going to space out too far, as they have kept Anthony Huen pretty honest here and not letting him get too far away, even with all that clean air.
Is still about 6 tenths of a second. Dax Brown in 3rd, 7 tenths back. AJ Masek 8 tenths back. If that is front 4. It's as you said at the beginning of the broadcast that the smaller tracks keep the pack kind of compact, and I think that's what we're seeing here at the front.
Most definitely, yeah. Like I said, those are some of my favorite tracks. Some of the racing action is always right there together. Nothing that really can separate them too much. And one mistake can be pretty detrimental, can put really someone from that 1st spot all the way back to 4th as we're watching this battle continue.
Who's that going wide? Is that Dax Brown, who had a little wide moment there ahead of AJ Masek? But amounts to nothing for AJ. For Dax Brown, he manages to keep 3rd place. Does open up the gap just a tiny bit to Jay Craig. To just settle down a little bit. Jay Craig is struggling now. It looks like to hang on to the pace that Anthony Wentz putting down at the front of this pack. Gap is growing by about a 10th every lap.
I'm really interested to see Jay Craig still holding strong in that number 2 spot. Like we were mentioning before, does he push a little harder to get that little buffer zone for the championship? Does he go for the lead? Or is he going to just try and play defensively? It's always kind of in the back of your head of what is going to be the best. I guess we're going to have to see what Jake decides here, and what does he think he is better at, attacking or defending?
Yeah, it's a difficult decision to make, right? Because as the attacking party, you've got the reins certainly over a battle. If you want to send it, you're sending it, right? As a defending party, you're always kind of trying to guess what the driver behind you who's attacking is going to do. Like you said, it depends what he feels more comfortable with. Also, if you're defending, you're already in the spot that you want to be in. You don't have to, you're not forced to make a pass. So there are pros and cons, I think, to being in either of the 2 positions. Jay Craig, however, is in the position he wants to be in at the moment, about a 2nd at least. Gap has opened up to about a 2nd to Dax Brown. I think the places where Dax and AJ are losing the most is this corner coming up, the right-hander of Maggots. They've been losing here lap after lap. It looks like our Dax Brown has closed up the gap quite a bit now to Jake Greg. We saw Jake go very wide coming out of Cobb's corner, and that's closed the gap to Dax Brown right up. 3/10 is the gap now. What position did he want to be in? Well, I don't think he has a choice. He's defending.
And we're seeing Dax here just charging corners, and this is where we were mentioning about attacking and defending. Dax has all the control here. He decides when he's going to push, when he doesn't. And as Craig sitting in that number 2 spot, he has it all to lose here. And you definitely know it's in the back of his head of when or where he's going to, or when and where Brown is going to make the attack.
He's for sure not calming him down. We saw him go wide here. This is just... You see that just losing a tiny bit of momentum on board with AJ Masek. It wasn't even the fact that he was wide, it was just he was on throttle like a tiny bit too late. And well, from that point onwards, you're sitting duck for the next straight until the next corner comes up. I think that's what we saw on board there with AJ Masek. That's closed up between Wen and Greg again. The gap now almost down below a second. It's going up and down. It's ebbing and flowing, the gap between, well, all of these drivers really. We saw the gap last lap being about 0.2 of a second, then go up to 0.6, it's back to 4 now. I think these drivers are quicker at certain parts of the track, so I think we're having a really interesting battle here, just because of the fact that I think Jake is a little bit quicker coming through Cobb's corner and through Maggots. Back end of the track, Dax is a bit quicker again. Now we're going to see that moment with Dax. Dax is going to just go a slight bit wide. Look at the amount of momentum that he loses by going a little wide. 2/3 lost immediately.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be key. And if Dax wants any shot at it, the slow parts of the track for him, he's going to need to just try and hang with Craig if he wants to make a pass for it. And like I said, and Craig's going to have to learn those, so figure out where the passing opportunities are and be able to keep the car in front of them and not give up those insides that somebody could dive bomb or giving any opportunities for any passing lanes.
Let me tell you who's been on an absolute rampage since the start of this race. It's Jack Dennison is looking for another move now into the left-hander. He makes Andrew Berrien defend. Jack Dennison is up into P5. He was last after the start of this race. He's up into the top 5 already. 16 seconds is the gap up to AJ Masek now, though. I think that's going to be a little too hard to close if nothing crazy happens up front. But with all of these 4 being so extremely close, I don't count it out that something crazy happens, though. I think we could see anything happen in this race, and Jack Dennison is right there to pick up the pieces if anything does go wrong.
As always, racing is racing, and anything can happen. A little mistake out of Craig or anything of that nature could pile up our front 4. Like I said, all right there together, and one mistake could be detrimental. If I'm Masek or even Dennison, I'm happy. I'm sitting in a good spot. And honestly, if you're back there, you're praying for a mistake.
Go through Woodcote again. AJ Masek is the driver we're on board with. 4th driver in line. The gap back up to 1.3. We've seen this gap go up and down so many times. I don't really see the gap as anything we can reference anymore. One thing we can reference is that Dax Brown has been struggling through Cobb's corner now the last couple of times. Is that going to open up an opportunity for AJ Masek to try and put one on the inside? He for sure is looking for it, and he has. Dax Brown looking as near as the better exit, though, with that wider line. For Brown, and AJ Masek is just going to have to wait his opportunity again.
Saying if you're sitting in Craig's position here, you're loving this. Let 3 and 4 battle it out. Just stay on that rear bumper of Glenn and ride it to the finish line. But the only thing you don't want happening is these guys to start picking up the pace and catching right back up to that rear bumper.
I mean, if I could give Jake Rake any tip right now, it's throw out a tow line to the rear bumper of Anthony Wen and just hang on to it. Hang on to it as best as you can, because it looks like Anthony Wen is towing him along quite nicely. at the moment, because that gap is opening up to 2 seconds. The bigger that gap becomes, the more difficult it will become to close. Not only because the gap is bigger, but because Jake Craig and Anthony Wen themselves will get more confidence. And maybe this is something that Anthony Wen, Jake Craig, we know they talk quite a lot. They've been on the podium a lot together. Maybe they've talked even before the race, and Jake would have said maybe to Anthony, if I'm in second and you're in first, you can go. I'm not going to go for it as long as I'm not considerably faster than you. And if I can stay in P2, I'm staying right where I am, because that's where I need to be, and I don't need to take any unnecessary risks.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, like we were mentioning right at the beginning of this, do you go for it? Do you just hang consistent in the number 2 spot? We are seeing that Craig has been slowly closing in on Wen, so I'm interested to see as we get a little later into this race, does he try and make that pass? Does he drive conservative? And I guess only time will tell.
I think he's proven one thing to us so far, and that's that he got the pace to win. He's got it. It's just the question of, does he want to try and risk a pass on Anthony Wen? And we always say, do you do anything different during the race? Do you prepare any different for this race than you would have done for all the other races? Most of the times we say no, but in the back of our head there's always that voice saying, do I need to take these risks? I know what I've got here. And let me tell you, if this was the first race of the season, there wouldn't be any voice in the back of anyone's head saying, do I need to do this? It would be complete balls to the wall and saying, if there's an opportunity, I'm going for it.
Right, most definitely, most definitely. And I think there is a championship mentality when it comes to it, and it's staying consistent. And that's what we see time after time wins championships is you might not have to be the number 1 spot, but as long as you can keep that car up towards the front of the pack each and every week, that is how you get it done. And that's what we're seeing Jake Craig do right now.
This is your closest battle on track. Next closest battle on track is Bradley and Jim Massick. Then after that, it's Poltanis and Matt Haynes. However, we're staying with the battle here at the front of the field. It's these two. This is what it's all about. It's not only for the race win, like we have mentioned about 12 million times already. It's Jake Drake who's going for that title, needs to finish at least second. That's easier said than done. Gap behind 2.2, gap ahead 0.6 of a second. Once again, close down a 10th on this lap. And also, if you're Dax Brown and you see him just get smaller and smaller in the distance, not only for Jake Craig is this a great thing, and this is a great confidence booster for Dax Brown, if you see him getting smaller and smaller in the distance, well, your hope slowly but surely ebbs away.
Yeah, most definitely. But hey, Brown does have the pressure from Massock right there behind him, so he can't let up too much. Otherwise, he's going to find himself off the podium here.
With just under 12 minutes in this race remaining, I don't think anybody wants to let off anything so far. For sure not Anthony Wen, who's still pressured by Jay Craig, as you see that gap go up to 1.2 seconds again. The gap behind him didn't go down, so is this maybe Anthony Wen showing to Jay Craig, look, you might want to go for that championship, but this race win is mine. This is the pace I've got. This is what you need to match if you want this race win. And he's just up his levels just a tiny bit. The reason I'm saying that though is because the gap behind him is staying the same. And Jay Craig's gap to Anthony Wen has opened up.
Yeah, the only thing is I hope Craig does not get in his head, and if he starts to see Wen pull away a little bit, if he starts riding or driving over the top of his head, that could cause some mistakes. And even though Brown has fallen back almost 2 seconds, that is not a ridiculous amount of time. Still 11 minutes to go here in this race, and still plenty of time to make mistakes.
Anthony Poltanis, one of the drivers who was new here today and qualified in 3rd position. The race, however, has not been it. Oh no, Anthony, you're not doing it again, are you? It's the curse of the producer. This is the 3rd time we've seen him do this. This is the 3rd time the camera has been on him during that moment. I think we just have to look at the timing tower for us here. It's Massick trying to go around the outside of Dax Brown. Oh, Jay Craig is loving this up ahead. He's like, yes boys, go at it, do this more. And Dax Brown, however, under pressure into Cup's corner, never easy. Masick still not able to get past him though. Trying at the exit to the back straight, to the Wellington straight. AJ Masick, can he try and look for a move into Brooklands? Look to the inside. Inside line is favoured in Brooklands, however for Luffield the outside line for Brooklands is favoured once again. That's what we see in here. Dax Brown carrying the outside for the first left-hander, but then getting the inside for the oh-so long and never-ending right-hander. Therefore, pulls out back into P3 again. Gap has opened up to 3 seconds to the top two. AJ Masick is going to try it once again. Matt Haynes here up the inside of Luffield, of Brooklands, sorry. He gets past Pontanis up to P7. Let's hope that Anthony Pontanis can keep it pointing the right direction now through Maggots. AJ Masick, this is that corner that Pontanis is struggling with so much, and I think he's just having a little bit of rear locking. Those rear tyres locking up, brake bar is just a little too far rearwards, and if your rear tyres lock up and your rear starts to go in that corner, well, it's tricky to hold it.
There's not much you can do about that. That corner is a very tricky one. We've seen a lot of drivers kind of lock it up coming into it, and like I said, as we've seen Pontanis struggling to make it through there, we've seen about three spin outs there. And I just got to say, Craig doing exactly what he needs to be doing, holding that gap between him and Huen to about a second, and opens that gap up now to Dax Brown there, 3.5 seconds. It is exactly what he needed to be doing to win this championship here today.
Well, it ain't over till the checkered flag flies, though. We've seen gaps bigger than this, gaps for the lead bigger than this, and still they were trickled away on the last lap because of either a mistake of the driver ahead or the driver behind them over the course of what is 3-4 laps just had a little bit more pace. Was able to close up that gap. So with just over 7.5 minutes to go here, nothing is played yet. It's for sure that Jay Craig is looking a little more confident and comfortable than he was doing at the start of this race, but still that gap to Anthony went just about a second. Anthony Pontanis though, after that spin, his third spin mind you of the evening, in P7, 2.3 seconds back of Andrew Berrien, who's only 2.5 seconds back on Jack Dennison. So I would say that for Anthony Pontanis, with the pace he's got here this evening, even P5 isn't out of the cards yet.
Yeah, most definitely. I could definitely see a good charge as long as he can keep that car under control. He has this pace and speed to be moving his way up this pack still. And as we're seeing, he's chewing away at that gap between Barron. I'm definitely interested to see if he can make that charge up, starts to get a little more comfortable in the car. Like I said, first race here with us, and really interested to see, and hopefully that he continues with us into the summer series.
You might ask yourself, which car are we driving here today? Well, it is of course a British touring car championship car. However, it is only a one make, and it is the BMW 320i. So the BMW 320i that ran in the British Touring Car Championship. Only the one make, but I think that is one of the reasons we've had the amount of racing and the quality of racing that we've had this evening. The fact that it's a one make, of course, different cars having different characteristics, and I think the fact that we have only one car makes the driver in the difference. AJ Masick looking up the inside of Brooklands again, and once again he forces Dax Brown to the outside line. That then gives him the inside for Luffield. The long right-hander that goes on for oh so long. A better exit though for AJ Masick would do here. Would give him an opportunity to try something into Cops Corner. He's gotten the better exit. Can he now, with the help of that slipstream, try and close up that gap? Here we go, AJ Masick with just 5 minutes remaining now. He's going to get impatient. He goes side by side through Cops Corner. Dax Brown defending the inside. AJ Masick just not able to carry the momentum. Further back though, Andrew Berrien. And Anthony Poltanis also fighting for P6. They're just about coming on to the front stretch. Into Cops Corner soon. We'd love to see how that battle is unfolding. Here we are with AJ Matt. Here we are then with Anthony Poltanis. We've just gone through Cops Corner, and of course as soon as we switch through that battle, the camp opens up slightly. Something that always somehow seems to happen. Dax Brown once again, the inside for Luffield. Favorite line here. The exit also strong as we've seen so far this evening. AJ Massick though just not getting the exit he would wanted.
At this point, do you think that Massick is being slowed down by Brown?
Like it so far. I mean, he has to drive different plans. That's not doing his speed, neither his tires through the corner any good. But the thing is, if you're quicker, just go for it, I would say. And AJ Massick has gone for it. The inside for Maggots, the better exit onto the straight though for Dax Brown. And he's once again gonna hang on to that lead. Dax Brown is showing Jay Greg exactly what he should have done if the gap was any closer than this. Jay Greg though, 5.7 seconds. At this point, it's just don't make a mistake and this championship will be yours. Talking about making mistakes, Dax Brown made one right there. AJ Massick will try and carry the momentum around the outside of Luffield. Can't quite. The exit, however, much better than that from Dax Brown. Dax Brown will keep it tight to the pit wall here. The outside, once again, the line of choice for AJ Massick. He didn't really have much choice. The outside for Cops is not the place where you want to be. You're putting yourself in the penalty spot to be pushed out wide. He thinks of that. AJ Massick getting the better exit now into Maggots. This is the place where he tried it just a lap ago. Is this the place where he then finally is able to take P3 away from Dax Brown? He's going to try and run that car in deep. The momentum on the outside though for Dax Brown is once again going to carry him to third place. Dax Brown seems impossible to pass.
Dax running a very wide car here, like we say in the motocross world, as he has been absolutely checking up and keeping Massick behind him there. And I got to give a shout out to Dax. It is very impressive to watch, as even choosing some of these alternate lines, still able to keep that car in the number 3 spot.
Andrew Berrien has been passed by Anthony Poltanis, and has also been passed by Matt Haynes. Was that due to contact between Poltanis and Berrien? Who knows? We can't get a replay of it. Only the drivers will know. One thing I know is that Matt Haynes and Andrew Berrien are going side by side. It's the outside line of choice for Andrew Berrien. He's going to carry the momentum. He's going to squeeze Matt Haynes to the inside. And it's going to end in tears in Brooklands. Luffield was the corner for Andrew Berrien, but Matt Haynes what was the left-hander before Luffield's was squeezed to the inside by Andrew Berrien, who's probably driving a bit hot-headed, maybe after some contact with Anthony Poltanis, who knows. But, well, contact made, and it ends in tears from Matt Haynes.
And as we glance out to the front here, Anthony Nguyen still just on rails, no mistakes, has been driving very clean here. Like we saw 2 weeks ago, his unbelievable talent to continue and drive just perfectly consistent. I think that is definitely something that we've seen out of Nguyen. Obviously very fast, but he does not make many mistakes, and that's what we're seeing here today. Still holding on to about that second lead over Jay Craig here, and we're really seeing where he is putting that car up in the number 1 spot. And like I said, as well as all the rest of these drivers, I really hope to see them in the summer series.
Well, it's Anthony Nguyen, who I think is one of the drivers who will for sure see back. If he was here all the evenings, he would have been one to go for the championship too. We would have had a championship battle, who knows, between him and Jay Grigg. He comes round the final corner to start the final lap of this race. The white flag isn't out. I can tell you it will be out in about 33 seconds. These drivers are close to the finish line once again. But the story really is behind that between Dax Brown and AJ Massick. They've had a massive fight. Anthony Poltanis isn't quite done fighting yet. I told you that 5th place wasn't quite on the books yet. It was in the cards for Anthony Poltanis, and he's on the back of Jack Dennison now onto the last lap of this race. corner. The gap is about 0.4 of a second. He could get this, but I want to switch to Jay Craig because it's been a season to remember for the young man. It's a season in which it hasn't quite all gone his way, but it's gone his way to the point where he can say that coming out of this final corner, he's done enough to pick up what is the One Line Racing Centre Community Cup Spring Season Championship. Jay Craig, take a bow, you've done it! Anthony Wen wins the race, Jay Craig takes the championship, Dax Brown takes the final spot on the podium, and AJ Masek, after trying so many times to try and get past Dax Brown, finishes up in P4. Fighting isn't quite done yet. Anthony Boltanis is going to try and carry the momentum around the outside of Luffield. The exit is what's going to count here, up to the line between him and Jack Dennison. It looks like Jack Dennison is just about got it. Is he going to draw even just before the line? He's going to get drag race to the line. The gap is less than a 10 between the two. And it's 41 thousandths of a second between Jack Dennison and Anthony Boltanis for 5th and 6th. Andrew Berrien crosses the line in 7th, Ryan Collins in 8th. Matt Haynes finishes in P9 ahead of Wong in P10. But my oh my, Jay Craig, you are the man. Champion of the One Line Racing Centre Spring or Community Cup Spring Season. And boy, was that a hard-fought one.
Indeed it was, yeah. Great driving there from Jake. Did exactly what he needed to do. Just kind of latched on to Wen throughout the whole race. Able to fend off the early attacks from Dax. And was able to get it done. And definitely congratulations to him. And that was some great driving there and exactly what he needed to do.
I think as soon as we saw that he didn't panic when the pressure was high early in the race from Dax Brown. As soon as we saw that gap open up, knowing that he didn't panic there, I think we knew that this championship was his. It was just a case of trying to get that thing to the line, which, well, let's be honest there, some drivers have struggled with no matter the position they were in. Heck, we've seen drivers crash out of the lead in races, but here is the final standings then in the Spring Community Cup Championship of 2025. And it's Jay Craig, who I said, who takes home the championship, 93 points in total. Arguably, that championship was Luis Rodriguez, but he wasn't here in 2 of the evenings, so Jay Craig takes what he can and was consistent enough to take home the championship. Anthony Wen, also not here for 2 evenings, but he finishes 3rd on 73 points, 64 points for Orion Collins, who was here all of the evenings, so big thank you to Ryan Collins for being here all of the afternoons at the One Line Racing Centre. Chase Black in 5th. Sadly couldn't compete in the last 2 rounds. Same goes for Joey Dom. Ishfaq Azam in 7th on 36 points. 33, 1 ahead of Jack Dennison is AJ Masek. Then Dax Brown in 10th ahead of Andrew Berrien. Alex Uranza in 12th and Stefan Waller in P13. That's it then for the One Line Racing Centre Community Cup Spring Season. I'm looking forward to the summer season. It's been amazing to commentate this together with you, and I hope to see you back for the summer season. This is the man though who we look at, who's taken on the championship, Jay Craig. Massive bow to him. For now though, big thank you for watching once again, all of us, or all of you, for being in the One Line Racing Sim Racing Centre. We'll see you in the Community Cup Summer Season. Goodbye.